Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of the F1 2020 Driver Career Mode. Today we're doing episode number 41 for the British Grand Prix of Season 2, Season 3, round number 9. If you have missed any of the previous episodes, then I recommend you go and check them out. There's a playlist as well in the description below, so you can go and catch up on any of the episodes that you've missed in this series. But yes, if you have not been following, then you won't be aware that our contract renewal is up, and basically we're being kicked out at Red Bull, mainly because we couldn't agree a contract with them, as we mentioned in episode 34, I think it was. So we're going to be approaching another team. I did run 2 Twitter polls on this, and both Twitter polls, although had a low turnout, were 100% in favour of joining Renault. So Renault is the team we're going to join. So we'll be taking them to the front of the grid. Their approach accepted. This is my second attempt at doing this as well, because the first attempt we went for the mid one and they declined, so we had to go for the lower one. It means that the perk fund might as well is about £1.83 right now, so we can't really do anything there as well. So yes, the state of R&D, I'm not going to lie, this car is bad. How Ricciardo got podiums, I don't know. The aero is terrible. The only thing that it's the worst scenario as well, with a light sash as well. So that stuff that we worked on. I've also done some modding, so we've got the Rocket sponsor now on the Mercedes. Obviously they'll be joining the car next year. Ferrari, I've added Giorgio Armani, if I pronounced that correctly, because apparently they sponsored Charles Leclerc. So yes, just trying to obviously freshen it up. Red Bull have got the biggest change. Verstappen has moved back to fill my place. So obviously we've scrubbed Aston Martin from the rear of that car and replaced it with Honda, and obviously Verstappen sponsor CarNext.com, and obviously Ziggo's on the car, although not Jumbo, because I've kept Jumbo for Haas, mainly because of that rumour article about a couple of years ago when De Vries was linked with a seat at Williams. So that's why I've sort of kept them. McLaren have had a couple of changes. The PlayStation logo, apparently PlayStation have a link with Carlos Sainz as well. We've added the Estrella Galicia, that beer company that sponsors Sainz, and also the Quadrant logo. Our car, the Renault, has only got Magners, and that's literally the only change that I've made, because none of Esteban Ocon doesn't have any sponsors. I've added the ALPHATAURI hasn't changed too much, since obviously if you've been watching the series then you already know that this one's already been modded with the Jack and Jones sponsor for Magnus, and I've added Pierre Gasly, one of Pierre Gasly's sponsors, in place of the Casio one of some headphone company, so they're on the front. The Racing Point needs a little bit of a rework because the pink is a little bit too light for me, so that's going to be fixed, although not in time for this week's. Not in time for either this week's episode, so that should be fixed next week, hopefully, if I can get the right colour of pink correctly to work. But we've added Aston Martin and also a green stripe as well at the rear. Alfa Romeo hasn't changed because Russell or Giovinazzi don't have any personal sponsors. Haas also needs a bit of work done as well because of the rear ring is I'm not a fan of it, and also the Jumbo sponsors just in general needs a little bit of a rethink about how best to place them, basically. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, is redoing that, especially on the front wing, doesn't look. And then on the Williams, there's only one change on the rear wing. The Williams logo is gone and a Cronus is replaced there. As we take a look at our teammate.
Cannot be serious!
So our teammate for the rest of the season won't be Daniel Ricciardo, the man who's got 2 podiums in the last 2 races and is now a free agent and not even in this series anymore, but instead Esteban Ocon, the man who's been partly unreliable in getting any results and has DNF'd quite a few times already this season. Well, I mean, at least it makes my job a little bit easier because the competition from our teammate won't be quite so high if he DNFs all the time. Yes, not that we're gonna struggle to begin with. You'll see why later, because of the aero is not there. So how Ricciardo managed those podiums again is a miracle, and it's just got a whole lot worse because the race is going to be chucking it down with rain. It's going to be a typical British, or rather Welsh, afternoon at Silverstone, and we might as well use this opportunity because in the rain on F1 2020 I'm terrible against the AI, and at Britain I'm even worse. And so yes, moving to qualifying then. Let's see what we can do. We're going to have high wings. Obviously we're going for a wet setup, obviously, basically. So that means we're obviously going to be a little bit slower on the straights, but we're going to obviously, hopefully we can get that back through the engine power. But now we're not at Red Bull anymore, at least in the garage. We don't have to look at any YouTubers. Oh, we've got Arrow. Technically, actually, that's better. Because, no, that is better for us, though. Because Arrow technically did do engineering at university. I think, unlike a certain Matt Gallagher, who didn't do any engineering. So, of all the faces that we've got, at least one of them, Arrow is the most, the safest powerhouse, shall we say, to be managing our tyre. So we set an initial lap. I mean, it's slow on the field, so that's just to show the pace. And we're already about last by about 15 years. And basically, even though we're improving by 4/10 on this second lap, the fact of the matter is, it's still a terrible lap. And we're so slow around here that we're actually starting to back up people on finishing their laps, like the likes of Norris and our teammate OCON. Wasn't a great lap, so it doesn't matter anyway. We were going to be starting last anyway, and by the fact of the matter is we just qualified last anyway. OCON a second off. I think that's probably where we could have been if qualifying isn't that big. Matsuchitsu getting the back of De Vries in his first race, so we'll be able to see how De Vries copes. But let's go for this, the wettest Grand Prix you're going to see for a long time. It's time for the British Grand Prix.
We return once again then to the home of British motorsport and the birthplace of the Formula One World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone and it's time for the British Grand Prix. Silverstone circuit then. It's 3.6 miles long and has a total of 18 corners. And of course, is no stranger to the rain. There won't be any DRS available in these conditions, but the Wellington and Hangar Straights are still good opportunities to tuck into the slipstream and make a pass. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Let me ask you about Renault. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Verstappen, Pierre Gasly, and Sainz, Perez, Ocon, Magnussen, and Charles Leclerc, Stroll, Norris, George Russell, and Vettel, Matsushita, Kvyat, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Nick De Vries. Latifi and a Renault rounds off the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
You could actually hear the rain there just pattering on the car. That's how wet it is. It's, let's just say there's going to be Lake Silverstone will be forming somewhere, I'm sure. Fibre lights for today's British Grand Prix, and we're away we go. And the HMS Renault is underway. Banana is getting very soggy and very slow as we go through turn 1. And there's a whole host of cars, and Ocon is round. We've had to take avoiding action. Safety car deployed, of course, because Ocon and well, I couldn't see who it was. Is it the race? Is it one of the racing points? So they're going 3 wide. Yes, it's Ocon in his round. I think Stroll has been given a 5-second penalty, and a couple of the others as well for reversing. But somehow, despite the fact we are the slowest person ever around the wet in Silverstone on this year's game, we're up into P7. And the safety car is coming in at the end of lap 3. We've managed to Sainz is. We'll see you at the finish, basically, for Carlos. That's what's going to happen here. He's already going into turn 1, and he's already a second up. Leclerc now is on outside. We're going to defend. We've got a lot of defending to do. If we want to keep this position, Leclerc though is up or inside. We're already trying to get the traction around on the outside though. Can we do this? We'll go on in rich mix and ERS. We try and squeeze him to the curb, and Leclerc has. Something's happened to Leclerc there. I thought I might have had damage with him. Sorry, hadn't made a collision with him. But to be fair, I did give him space there, and Leclerc is out of the session. He is out of the race with an engine failure. As we look at De Vries, who's had a storming start up the grid. Although I think he has a penalty as well. So as we move through to lap 7, again you can see now that Carlos Sainz is 8.5 seconds ahead, and that gap is going to continue to grow. You can see Stroll there, nice little feature they've added to show that who's got the fire, drifting it through into turn 1. We've got Magnussen trying to go up the inside. We close the door. We need the points basically, because the fact of the matter is I don't know when they're going to come again, because this car and me don't seem to be suited for one another, as you'll find out in tomorrow's episode when it's dry at Hungary. As Magnussen has a go. This is a couple of laps later, again around the outside. Again we close him off, so Magnussen is trying everything, and all of this squabbling is having an effect on the behind, because now Perez, I wouldn't be surprised if there were team orders. Perez doesn't have has a penalty, whereas Stroll does, so I wouldn't be surprised if team orders applied there as well. As now we're looking at Stroll and Norris going side by side into turn 3. Is it? I don't know the turn numbers. They're going side by side, but Norris and Stroll, to be fair, keep going. As we watch now, I've had a bit of an off, and we've made contact with Magnussen. It's been coming, to be fair, because I just don't have the cars do not have the grip for me, so I'm just literally, there's no rear traction basically. I'm just sliding it all over the place. You can see we've lost 24 seconds to Sainz. That's not where we want to be. We just keep, to be fair, we can't. The only reason why we've lost it again, and we're drifting it through, and there's contact, big contact with Magnussen there, and he's lost a bit of his front wing, and again he got a warning. I don't think technically that's my fault. I think Magnussen shouldn't have technically stuck his nose in there. I think he should have been patient, but the AI don't have any patience. As Stroll now is going side by side with Perez. This is for P9. As Magnussen has lost I think a huge amount of his wing. Yes, he has. So this is on the last. That was on the last lap, remember. So through Magnussen, Beckett's Magnussen is even slower than us now. Finally, we've managed to be able to. And look at the train. That's what we've caused that train back to last place. But Magnussen is going to get points still. Gasly with the fastest lap of the race. Sainz and Gasly were half a minute away. That's how poor we've been, and we spun out at the end. It has not been a great race for us at all. We do get driver of the day. We do not deserve that. We only managed to get into the points by the fact of the matter is basically because of our teammates spinning out at the first turn. You can see how far we were away from getting anything more than 7th place. You can see that our whole hold of drivers had that penalty, which was why Latifi is up to 13th. That's how big of a train we caused, pretty much back down to last place. But anyway, we'll take those points. We're down to P4 again because Hamilton finally got some big points, although Bottas is now starting to stretch his legs. Can anybody stop him? He's won 5 races in a row now. And the likes of obviously Ricciardo's been taken out of the equation, so can we hold on against the likes of Magnus and Leclerc, Gasly and Sainz maybe, and maybe Ocon I don't think's a threat for us really, if he doesn't get Norris as well, if he gets some momentum. Constructors, ALPHATAURI is a big problem because they seem to have a better car than us as well, so that's definitely something that we got to look out and see. How we need these aero upgrades ASAP.
Let's have your take on it. Do you think that grid penalty was justified?
We took the penalty. It was my decision because we needed the parts, and I think it was better than taking it here where we weren't going to perform so well.
Do you have any comments about the collisions?
No, just lost the rear end.
You left some bodywork out there on the track. Will you struggle?
No comment.
Grip? Thank you for your time.
And thank you for wasting mine again, Claire. As usual, dribble as usual from there. Driver acclaim, we're back. We've gained what we lost in qualifying, so that's back up to level 13. We've got 2,500 resource points, which will just be enough for a major aero upgrade that's been missing. I think we're going to try and rush it as well so we can get it on board by the time we get to Hungary. So you can see there we're the 4th fastest on the Sashi, so I don't think we need to do so much work on the Sashi part, because there are a few things that were like weight redistribution that I would like to get on, but I think what we're going to do is this rear rag reduction, and then we'll have a look at the DRS one as well, and then that will open up the final section. So those two probably first, and then the weight reduction. I don't think we need anything on the engine because those 3 are pretty fast as well, and durability I don't think is a problem as well. So yes, I'm going to leave it there. If you have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you see more episodes like this. But until the next video, I'll see you next time. Take care, thank you so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.